What a day to be a sports fan in Toronto.
2 TVs going, the laptop going, get it all going.
Game 2 for the Leafs, Game 1 for the Raptors, plus 3 other teams in action. We'll tee things up for you. Plus,
Show some love for number 32, Jim Scoop Veltman.
Toronto's 6th big team, the Rock, honors former captain and Hall of Fame member Jim Scoop Veltman. And you'd think this diehard Leafs fan lives here in Toronto. Actually, he lives about 2,000 kilometers away. Good evening, I'm Mike Wise. Toronto's going to be a big day for Toronto sports fans. The Raps begin their postseason. The Leafs play Game 2, plus the Jays, TFC, and Marlies are all in action. Throw in a downtown subway closure, and you may have a dream day for sports fans, but a potential nightmare for drivers. Greg Ross takes us through it all.
What a great sports weekend in Toronto.
And the mayor kicking things off by raising flags for both the Leafs and Raptors in support of their playoff runs.
We are with them like never before.
It was like the calm before the storm in Maple Leaf Square / Jurassic Park today.
Tied at 1 game apiece.
But it'll be more like this at 5 p.m. tomorrow when the Raptors open their first-round series against Orlando at home. First-year Raptor Danny Green says he's looking forward to experiencing Jurassic Park for the first time.
I see the pictures in the hallway of Jurassic Park of how crazy it is, and I hear how loud it's going to get. Everywhere I go, people yelling, good luck in the play. Let's see how much they're taking it just as serious as we are.
The Raptors were at their practice facility today for one more tune-up before the postseason officially starts. Coach Nick Nurse showing his love for another Toronto team, sporting a hat given to him by Leafs coach Mike Babcock.
It was nice of him. He wished me luck in the playoffs and left a couple some Leafs swag in my office the other night, so thought I'd rep them today. And
Here's Mitch Marner on a penalty shot.
The Leafs will look to take a 2-0 lead in their series tomorrow night at 8 p.m. when they square off with the Bruins in Boston.
I'd be lying if I wasn't saying I got the Maple Leafs game in mind the most.
Fans can watch both the Raptors and Leafs on the big screen outside Scotiabank Arena, but there are 3 other Toronto teams in action before they even start.
What a day to be a sports fan in Toronto.
What are you going to watch?
All of them, hopefully.
At 3 o'clock tomorrow afternoon, the Blue Jays host the Tampa Bay Rays at the Rogers Center. Then at 4 p.m., Toronto FC plays the Sounders in Seattle, while back here in Toronto, the Marlies host the Belleville Senators.
Tomorrow is just like a sports lover's dream.
Oh, 100%. Like, you got every Toronto sports franchise going tomorrow. It's, I don't know how to explain it. It's great.
You could just sit on the couch all day and veg out and watch sports.
2 TVs going, the laptop going, get it all going. Sit back on the couch, crack some brewskis, hack some darts, and there we go.
It's also going to be a busy week next week with either a Leafs or Raptors game almost every night, and that includes home games on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday here at Scotiabank Arena, meaning this square here is going to be packed on every single one of those nights. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
Now, about that subway closure I mentioned, it actually won't be as bad as first planned. Now, this is the TTC graphic here. The Yonge Street portion of the downtown loop is going to be closed from Bloor until Union Station. Shuttle buses will be running there as well. But if you're heading downtown, you're better off taking Line 1 down University. It'll stop at Union Station before heading back north. Let me show you what the original plan was, though. The TTC originally planned to close the line from Bloor all the way to Osgood for signal upgrades. With so much happening downtown, it's now keeping service on at St. Andrew and Union until 11 p.m. tomorrow. Hopefully the Leafs don't go into overtime. Again, that is just on the University side of things. Sunday, however, it is back to the full original plan. No service from Bloor to Osgood. And coming up a little later in our newscast, we'll take you to Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, and introduce you to a diehard Leafs fan who is cheering on the team from afar. At least he doesn't have to worry about subway closures. So as we mentioned, 5 major Toronto sports teams in action tomorrow. There was a 6th that played tonight. I know we haven't talked about the Argos yet. The Toronto Rock were playing tonight. Before its game tonight, the lacrosse team retired the numbers of one of its best players, Jim Scoop Veltman, who had colleagues cheering him on from both his sports career as well as his other career. Kelda Yoon has more.
Now let's raise Jim Scoop Veltman's number 32.
An emotional moment as the Toronto Rock honored one of its legends this evening.
We accomplished a lot together as a team.
Doyle to Veltman, fakes and shoots and scores!
Veltman was the captain of the Toronto Rock for 10 seasons. He led the team to 5 championships, along the way earning the nickname Scoop due to his prowess with picking up loose balls. He retired in 2008.
It was just felt so good again, and just those memories start to get flooded back as who I played with, what we accomplished in this building. It was just so exciting.
Veltman was able to balance his love of lacrosse with his love of teaching. He's been a phys ed teacher with the TDSB for 20 years, including his time on the team. Among those watching him get honored tonight, 50 of his colleagues from Agincourt Collegiate.
We're here to celebrate Jim Veltman. Jim Veltman, Scoop.
And all my colleagues, just to support me in this, has been pretty special for me.
He would never let you know about all his accomplishments, so it was really nice to see him highlighted this way.
I was also a student athlete of his at Agincourt. Now I'm currently a colleague of his. Back in the day, and even to this day, we still call him Scoop, just to tease him here and there. But it's been a pleasure knowing him and being mentored by him as well.
And while Veltman no longer plays the game himself, he's making sure the next generation picks it up.
And we have a lot of fun at Agincourt. It's a great school to be at. A lot of good kids, and we teach them lacrosse and phys ed. So it's Canada's national summer sport. A lot of people don't know that, but we make sure that the kids know it and that they learn, to even try it at least.
Captain Jimmy Veltman, another power play goal. It's 9.
Kelda Yoon, CBC News, Toronto.
Colin Kennedy's here with a first look at the forecast. And because it's your first look at the forecast, you're only going to focus on the good part of the weekend, right?
Well, I would love to be able to do that. Yeah, let's focus on that, but I'll give you a little peek at what's going on overall. But tomorrow, it is going to be just a beautiful day, and that's what Mike's alluding to. Mild, a little breezy, but the winds from the southwest, that's why it's going to be mild, and all kinds of sunshine, only a few clouds. Gorgeous day. Now, second half of the weekend, whole different story. Cold, wet, maybe even a bit of a mix starting off in the morning, then a cold rain, and then back into a mix. And to the north, some light accumulations of snow possible. Next week, though, peeking ahead, will actually rebound. It'll be a slow recovery, but our temperatures will be rebounding after a cool Sunday. However, overnight tonight, we're talking about no active weather, and Saturday looking good with that sun, as I mentioned. It's not till Sunday this next system will be approaching. So in the early morning hours, the temperature's close enough to the freezing mark. We could get into some of that mix and some wet flurries here to the north. Then it becomes more significant with rain, probably some heavy rain at times, and then pushing out Sunday night into Monday, leaving behind still a chance for showers Monday. Overnight tonight, though, way above seasonal, a low of 6 degrees, 14 tomorrow with those gusty southwesterly winds. We'll take a look at the full 5-day forecast coming up and a little more on that system on Sunday, Mike.
All right. Thanks, Colette.
You're welcome.
Toronto police have arrested the son of the woman stabbed to death in the city's PATH system Wednesday evening. 19-year-old Duncan O'Neill Sinclair was taken into custody by members of the OPP Southern Georgian Bay unit and charged with first-degree murder. Now, CBC News has learned from a source close to the investigation that the accused is the victim's son. Police were called to a food court in the King Street West and Bay Street area on Wednesday night, where 51-year-old Ray Cara Carrington was found with multiple stab wounds. Carrington was pronounced dead at the scene, with police saying they believe the attack was targeted. People who knew Carrington have left flowers outside the restaurant where she worked. The accused is scheduled to appear in court at Old City Hall tomorrow morning. Well, the day after the provincial budget, it saw members of the PC government traveling across the province trying to sell its highlights to the people of Ontario. One of the big-ticket items being touted is that new childcare tax credit.
It would provide new childcare support for about 300,000 Ontario families. It'll make it easier for those parents to re-enter the workforce when they're ready.
Now, along with that tax credit, the PCs are promising 30,000 new spaces for childcare right across the province. Now, the budget bill also includes a new law that will force gas stations to display a sticker on every pump showing just how much the new federal carbon tax is adding to the price of gas. Inspectors will be sent out to make sure stations are complying. Now, corporations who don't follow suit could face fines of up to $10,000 a day. Federal Environment Minister denounced those fines as ridiculous and a violation of free speech. Now, that was just one area where the federal government was stepping up its criticism of this provincial budget. Prime Minister Trudeau spoke at a Liberal convention in Mississauga tonight, criticizing Ford's budget for the series of cuts it will impose.
Cuts to services for farmers, cuts to services for Franco-Ontarians, for seniors, for post-secondary students, for Indigenous peoples, for children, and for all those who rely on community social services.
Trudeau also criticized Ford's cancellation of the cap-and-trade program and drew comparisons between the Premier and federal Conservative leader Andrew Scheer. And other federal ministers were also speaking out against the provincial budget, in particular a 15% cut to the Ministry of Indigenous Affairs.
We are extraordinarily disappointed in the budget in that Indigenous rights and closing the gaps in socioeconomic outcomes is the responsibility of all governments, but all Canadians.
Bennett called the cut a step backward for reconciliation. And here in Toronto at City Hall, there was concern about the plans to cut the number of public health units in Ontario.
They provide water quality testing. They make sure that we regulate food inspections, that we conduct vaccinations. I mean, when you reduce the level of health services, you reduce Ontarians' health. It's just that painful and simple.
The budget laid out plans to consolidate local health units, going from 35 to 10 of them. Many local politicians also concerned because of the role the units will play in battling infectious diseases, dealing with water inspections, and also vaccinations.
He said, Mom, I can't study at the school because the smell is so bad.
Still to come, a group of parents have pulled their children out of a Richmond Hill school because the fumes from a painting job have been making some students feel dizzy and ill. We'll have that story for you next. Welcome back. Nearly a dozen students at Richmond Hill's Trillium Woods Public School were pulled out of class today. Parents they've complained about headaches and dizziness and say it all started when the school began repainting the hallways earlier this week. Now, parents say their children started coming home with complaints about headaches, feeling dizzy in class. They were told about 3 weeks ago that the school would be repainting hallways. They were assured by the York Region District School Board that it was using low-impact latex paint. But just days into the repainting, several students said they were feeling ill, and parents say they are worried about what this means for their health.
I'm very, very worried about, but the healthy is the first thing I think, of course. And I still worry about the next week, if the kids go back to school or stay at home. So we need answer as soon as possible.
Now, the school board told us it's responsible for 210 schools, all of which need regular upkeep, and that they have health and safety officials on site. Well, fans of the Toronto Maple Leafs are known to be diehards. You've had to be the last couple decades. Well, passionate about their team and ever hopeful despite decades without taking home a Stanley Cup. But one fan in particular stands out among the rest, and you'd be forgiven if you assumed he was from Toronto or even Ontario. Gary Mansfield has his story from Cape Breton, Nova Scotia.
Welcome to my man cave.
Say hello to Archie McKinnon from Little Bador.
It's a picture of me and Gary Lehman, 50-goal scorer for the Leafs. I actually got to meet them all in the dressing room with them, and this is my mascot over here. And he happens to be all dressed in Dave Tiger Williams hockey gear. He's wearing Dave Tiger Williams hockey pants, his socks.
The 20-year collection covers the walls and the ceiling, but his pride and joy is his handmade Toronto Maple Leaf pool table. McKinnon says in his younger days he was a Boston Bruin fan, but that all changed when the company he was working for in Ontario gave him a season ticket.
The hype and the atmosphere and everything, I kind of got Leaf fever. Never changed me now. I'm solid Leaf till the day I die. Oh, this is my baby. I got her all done up in Toronto.
Outside, his truck is not the only thing painted blue and white. There's garbage cans, a doghouse, and yes, even his dog.
He's a big Leaf fan. He's all excited too.
When the sun goes down, the lights come on. As McKinnon's home shines bright throughout the neighborhood, he believes the Leafs can make up for last year.
Trying to cut for the net, scores! Another heartbreak in Boston for the Toronto Maple Leafs.
McKinnon predicts his Leafs will beat Boston and go on to win the Stanley Cup.
You've got a lot of scoring power, and I think the Bruins are in for a battle that they can't win.
Gary Mansfield, CBC News, Little Bador.
Oi, I need some ID, love.
Are you serious?
Well, Hellboy is back, and he's even more devilish than before. This reboot of the comic book tale is darker and bloodier than its previous incarnation, but is it any better? Eli Glasner's review is coming up.
The weather update is brought to you by Train Extreme Conditions Testing. It's hard to stop a train, really hard. Train, the most reliable heating and cooling brand.
The Blue Jays opening a 3-game set against the Rays, proving Toronto fans you never want to leave the game too early. Jays were down 8-0 by the 7th. That's when they started to chip away. Luke Maile hitting his first home run of the season. This made it 8-6. By the 8th, it was getting exciting. It was a one-run ball game. But then the 9th, Willie Adams would seal the game for Tampa with this 2-run blast to left. They'd go on to beat the Jays 11-7. Oh, and the Raptors take the court tomorrow against Orlando. They'll be playing without forward OG Anunoby. He had an emergency appendectomy last night at Mount Sinai Hospital. That was after being diagnosed with acute appendicitis. The Raptors say it went well, but they have given no timeline for his return. Well, the demonic-looking anti-hero Hellboy is back for more. This time, the tormented superhero movie's adventures are more darker and more twisted than in the past. But will fans buy into the gruesome plot twists? Here's Eli Glasner.
I need some ID, love.
Are you serious?
When we first catch up with Hellboy, he's in a bit of a funk. Meanwhile, Mila Jovovich appears as the Blood Queen. She is so evil, King Arthur cut her up and buried her in separate pieces. And now she's making her way back together again and wants to rule over mankind. Again. Back at HQ, we see Hellboy with his adopted father, played by the one and only Ian McShane. It seems the Osiris Club are looking for help.
The British Occult Society, formed in 1866 by the ranking members of the Heliopic Brotherhood of Ra.
Ra? I met Ra once in the underworld. He was a close talker.
So what's the real difference of Hellboy version 2? Geysers of blood. Director Neil Marshall has given Hellboy a gory heavy metal makeover. For example, there's a psychic character who projects spirits by projecting her own internal organs in human form. Ew. Hellboy. It seems to come out of the misguided notion that the original films didn't go far enough. Now, if you go back to 2004, sure, the effects weren't perfect, and at times it felt like a Men in Black knockoff. But the original director, Guillermo del Toro, created a film that was spooky and sweet, and a big part of that was Ron Perlman as the first Hellboy. The new guy is David Harbour, who you might recognize as, yes, Sheriff Hooper from Stranger Things. This is a big role for Harbour. Actually caught up with him on the red carpet recently, where he talked about why he feels a connection to Mr. Red.
He's a bit of a punk who's like trying to find his way and struggling with his own identity and his own flaws and is, you know, out there in a sort of way. And I mean, that's sort of been my trajectory.
Now, I have a lot of time for David Harbour. He's a great actor. He started as a serious theater actor and is still using his roles to find his own truth. But in trying to play the reality of the moment, well, the result is a Hellboy who's sullen and laconic, who's sulking over daddy issues and then flings himself into battle. And by battle, I don't mean those rivers of blood. I mean the script where the musty one-liners are what should have stayed buried. 2.5 stars out of 5. Eli Glasner, CBC News, Toronto.
Let's back with your extended look at the forecast. These April showers are going to make for great May flowers, especially with sun and rain this weekend.
Yeah, that's right. A little bit of everything coming this weekend. And the first half of the weekend is sort of your outdoor side of it. The second half is more prone to indoor activities, I would say. Our average height this time of year, just over 10 degrees. In fact, we would round that up to 11, and our average low is near freezing. The record snow, not very high, so that's encouraging, just over 2 centimeters there for this date in history. Looking at this system that's going to be coming in, it doesn't have an impact on us for Saturday. Saturday, we're just talking about southwesterly winds that will be gusty. So when I say that, 40, 50 kilometers an hour, it's going to push the temperature up. That's warmer air moving in, but sunshine as well. So it's quiet. But it's when we go into Sunday that we start to see things changing. This next system approaching southwestern Ontario, coming in overnight, in fact, and that's going to bring in some precipitation and even likely a mix that we'll be seeing first before it turns over to rain for Sunday. Those winds I mentioned, they'll be gusty from the southwest through Saturday, but going into Sunday, we're going to see more of an east to northeasterly breeze. It's going to be a cool rain that falls with those easterly winds not feeling too good. Overnight tonight, 5-6 degrees for lows with a clearing trend through the overnight in southwestern Ontario. Winds for you as well, gusty from the southwest tomorrow, but temperatures with that sun, 13 14 degrees, and looking at lows of 5 to 6 degrees with clear skies for the most part for the GTA, and highs like this into tomorrow range from 13 to 15. The winds may gust over 50 kilometers an hour, but still it is going to be so pleasant to have a day like this with sunshine and the mild temperatures. Today was nice, it was mild, but we had to contend with those rain showers, of course. Sunday, starting as a mix, then a rain event, and then perhaps a mix again as it exits, and that's especially with the temperature going down towards 2 degrees for the low. Keep in mind, up into cottage country, likely you're going to get into a mix, maybe even a little bit of freezing rain, and further north into some light snow accumulations. Monday, I was talking about how next week is our recovery week. I was mentioning that earlier in the show, so we recover in terms of our temperatures. So still a chance of showers on Monday, 6 degrees the high, but as we're going towards midweek, we're seeing those temperatures getting back up into the double digits. We'll still have some instability and rain coming back into Wednesday, but we start to be able to count on the temperatures a little bit better. But this weekend, it's giving us, you got to buckle your seatbelt. It's the roller coaster continues.
But it's going to be great weather for anyone going to Jurassic Park and Maple Leaf Squares to watch the big games tomorrow.
Outstanding tomorrow.
All right. Thanks, Colette.
You're welcome.
Well, Toronto is getting a blast from the past this weekend, a temporary exhibition of neon signs.
There's Vegas and Atlantic City and even Paris, but I don't think people think about Toronto when I think neon, but it's pretty clear that we do have a good history of neon and we just got to bring it back.
Certainly do. The lights are known for the glow on Yonge Street decades ago. Well, they're making a comeback. CMO and the Downtown Yonge BIA decided to run a neon sign pop-up this weekend at the Junction House in Dundas West. It will feature many famous Toronto signs, including ones you see there from Friar's Tavern and the Canary Restaurant. The glowing pop-up runs until Sunday evening. Some great memories there, I'm sure. Well, that's our newscast for tonight. Have a great weekend. Maribel Taruk has your next newscast tomorrow night at 6. Go Raptors, goes Jays. Everybody else, have a great weekend. Good night.